All right, guys, welcome to the Campus Fellowship Podcast. This podcast will be an interview of Malia from DMACC and how she came to know Christ. So my name is Jacob. I'm the Executive Director for the Campus Fellowship Network, and we aim to equip local churches to implement and sustain dynamic college ministries whose students worship God and change the world. So we also have Mel here, and Mel's running the podcast on the back end, just mixing it all together. So she might jump into questions every once in a while as well. But yeah, so Malia, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Cool. Well, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I'm 24, grew up in Des Moines area. I graduated high school from Roosevelt. And now I'm currently a student at DMACC going for social work. And so, yeah.
Sweet. What inspires you to go into social work?
Yeah, so I don't want to go into too many details before we dive into it.
Yeah, totally.
But I've had experience just like in the foster care system as well as just like family members. And I think that really like spurred me on into wanting to be, making a difference, I think, in people's lives too who have been through something similar.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's get into your story then.
Yeah.
So how did you become a Christian? What was it like before you knew Jesus? I don't know how far back you want to go.
Yeah.
But just tell us.
Yeah. So let's go straight from like infancy.
Okay.
Because it kind of, jumps right into there. I was raised in a single parent household and I have two older sisters and I'm the youngest. But when I was about 5.5 months old, I was actually placed into a foster family.
Okay.
There was like physical abuse from my biological father, and there was just I was removed by DHS and then put into a foster family, and so about roughly like maybe a year later, I was reunified with my mom, my biological mother, and like my rights. My biological father's rights were terminated.
Okay.
And so from that, my mom and my foster parents at the time, Laura and Jamie Henderson, they had continued to be friends, like from then until now. Yeah. And so they actually introduced my mom into the church that I grew up going to until I was like 18.
Okay. Yeah.
And so, they have played a key role, I think, into just my life in so many ways, but especially just like being introduced to church at such a young age. And so growing up, we went to church on Sundays. I was a part of youth group and throughout like middle school and high school. I remember being like 5 years old in like a Sunday school. And I remember hearing about like the gospel. And I knew that being taught in a way of like, if you don't accept the gospel, you'll go to hell. And that was really scary for me as a 5-year-old.
Yeah.
I totally did not fully understand what that meant as far as the gospel. And I didn't understand the weight of my sin. But I remember praying that prayer. And I think from then on, I would have called myself a Christian.
Okay.
At a young age, also like in elementary school, I definitely was aware. We continued to go to church, and I was like aware of my sin, but more of like I internalized that just as like deep shame. And so anytime like I sinned, whether it was like lying to my mom about something or getting in trouble, I thought that like God was mad at me. I think part of that what probably was tied into not having like a father figure. And just like the dynamic at home. So as I grew, middle school, I actually started to get into like smoking weed. And that, I had seen my older sisters like also into that. And just kind of home life was dysfunctional. And so though we went to church on Sundays, I wasn't really taught or like shown like what it looks like to live for Christ. I think it was probably just like nominal Christianity. You just go, but like your heart isn't really changed.
Okay.
So that happened in middle school. Going into high school, I was just like really angry at the world. I definitely believed that God was real, and I believed that I believed the gospel, but I didn't follow Christ, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I got into a relationship my freshman year, and throughout this time, I was also still hanging out like with the wrong crowd. I fell into sexual sin throughout high school. And then it wasn't until my junior year of high school is when we had like a big family situation happen with my sister. She actually has struggled with substance abuse all throughout my life.
Yeah.
And during that time, my nieces and my nephews, her kids, were removed from her care, and my mom got like temporary custody.
Okay.
And so through that situation, I really like saw my need for Christ. I realized that I had so much that I was going through that I was just like flat on my face, humbled before the Lord, and I saw my need for him. I knew that I needed his help. So I remember during that time, I just like prayed a lot. And I just remember just like thinking, I have no idea why this is happening. I'm like incredibly grieved and like hurt, and like this whole situation just really is terrible. But I just like, there was something in the back of my head. It was just like, I'm just gonna like have faith in God that like, though I can't see what it's going on and why, I'm just gonna like trust him. During this time, I like also, I was still, following the same patterns of, the world.
Yep.
But I remember one time I remember it so specifically. This one day, I was so angry with my sister, just at everything. And I remember, I know I said I've used this word a few times, but just like so grieved. And it was like in that moment, I had this like thought, and I know it wasn't from me because in my selfishness, I just could not have come up with this. But I had this thought of like how grieved I am by my sister's sin, and how it's affected our family. Like the Lord was grieved by my sin in that same way, if not more. And I remember, because I mean, actually at the time, to be so transparent, like I was like in that situation, and like when that thought came, I was like currently like smoking, like, and I was also just when that thought came, and I know it was like the Holy Spirit, I was just like, something clicked that I was basically an idolater before God, that I was like seeking satisfaction, I was seeking distractions, but also just a way to escape my reality, instead of like truly leaning on Christ.
Yeah.
And over time, he changed my desires, my heart's changed. The sin that I once like was so deep into, it was no longer tasteful for me. And it definitely like was a process. Absolutely was a process. Did not happen overnight.
No, that is really sweet. It reminds me of the parable where Jesus talks about before you pull out a log from someone else's eye, pull out, or the splinter, mixing it up. Before you pull out the splinter, pull out the log out of your own eye, you know? And I feel like just what you were talking about is like, in the midst of all this craziness of like maybe someone else's sin, it's like your own sin hit you like a ton of bricks. Even though maybe your sin was not as great as this other person's sin. So, and I think a lot of people can probably identify with like praying a prayer at some point when you're young, you know, just to like avoid a nasty consequence called hell that is real, but, you know, doing it just for that reason, not even understanding that you've sinned against a holy God, just saying, I want to get out of the bad consequence, like whatever. But so that is really encouraging and really refreshing to hear about. So like from there, you're gonna go into a lot of things of how things have changed.
Yeah.
What like were you going to church still at that point? How did things change at church?
Yes. So actually, during that time of my junior in high school, I guess I should also preface like what my belief about God was at that time, because I had known about like the abuse that happened in like when I was a baby, and I just I think didn't have a good what's the word I'm looking for? Model of what a good father and a good man is in my life. And so I knew that God was good from like church, and I knew like that he cares for me, or that he cares for me, but it was so hard for me to believe it. I thought that he was so eager to like condemn me when I messed up. And that like really affected my my desire to go to him and trust him, and like trust that he's good and what that means. And so so during this, we also switched churches. We ended up having to move, and we ended up moving to Norwalk, and we started going to a new church.
Yeah.
And so this new church, I knew nobody. And I went one night to a youth group event, and I met the youth pastor's wife. And her name was Cassidy Hoyt. And through that, she just became a mentor for me. I think up until this point, I didn't have accountability. I didn't have, even though I went to church, there was nobody like speaking into my life. And at the time, like I wanted it that way. And I thought it was like, yeah, I could just like do what I wanted. And so, but once we moved, she started mentoring me. We read together. She spoke into my life. And then there was this opportunity to go on a mission trip to Mexico.
Okay.
That summer. At this point now, it's like my senior year of high school. She's been discipling me this whole year. And then the mission trip was for the summer after I graduated.
Okay.
If that makes sense. I don't know if I explained that well.
No, it did. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so when I heard about this trip, I was really nervous. But also at the same time, I was like, I really want to go. And I didn't have the funds. I didn't have the means to do it myself.
How much was it going to be to go? Do you remember?
I think it was like $2,000.
Okay. Yeah.
And I remember talking to somebody at the church, and they encouraged me to support Raise. And so like I wrote like these letters and emails to like people from the church, and God like provided all the means just like in time for me to go.
That's great.
And so through me going down there that week with my church, Mexico Caravan Ministries is like a house building ministry and a mobilizing ministry. So groups will come down from like the U.S. and will be taught about the Great Commission from like missionaries, a lot of teachers from Radius. And so, when I went down that week, it was hard. Like it was first time like really doing like physical labor. We built like these 12 by 12 structures for the families in need that needed a roof over their head. It was really humbling to be in like even though like where we were was like maybe an hour away from the U.S. border, it was very like a lot of poverty.
Yep.
But what stuck out to me the most was hearing the gospel in a way that it wasn't just about like me being saved and me going to heaven, but it was also of like how sweet is it that I am so undeserving of this gift of grace and to be reconciled with the God that I deserve to be like have eternal separation from.
Oh yeah.
And not only that, but I have this command to go and make disciples as well.
Yeah.
And it was the first time that really hit me like a rock.
Yeah.
And I remember at the end of the week, they had asked if anybody was interested in interning. You could intern for like 3, 6 to 9 months to a year. And actually, a lot of people at the church in Newark that I went to at that time had interned. And so I was like, well, I really felt like the Lord was like leading me to apply.
Yeah.
And so I go back home and I tell my mom I'm so excited. And I think she was kind of like, I
She
think
was
it was
like
hard
over the moon, right? You know?
Right, exactly.
No cares, no concerns at all, right?
Yeah, right. I wish. No, but she was like, my daughter's been away, like out of the country, away from me for like a week.
Yeah.
And now you're telling me you want to go back there for a year?
Oh.
And so she's like, how about you like pray about it for a month? And if you still feel like the Lord's leading you that way, then I'm for it. Mm-hmm. So I did that. I waited and I had prayed, and at the end of that time, I came back to her and I was like, Mom, I still feel like this is something that I want to do. Mm-hmm. And so I think it was the spring of 2021, I ended up interning with Mexico Caravan Ministries. There, I lived with like 9 other interns, so we lived in community with each other.
Yeah.
We like slept, like woke up, labored together like 24/7. I was with these people all of the time. And yeah, we had like, when these groups came down, we had a message about the Great Commission and to go, send, or disobey, like John Piper like teaches. And then we were encouraged to talk to like the groups of like a lot of students that came down and just to like pick their brains about it. Mm-hmm. Also, part of the internship was like leading people on these builds and interacting with the families and stuff like that. There, I like grew a lot. I think it was the first time being in Christian community, and I just like look back and I am just, I can't think of the words. I just like am so thankful to God's graciousness and His love. Because I know that I was definitely hard to love during that time. Like, I was not easy to be around with. I think I was just, like, going through so much. And it was hard also at the time for me to, like, let people in and trust people.
So was that, like, your first experience with, like, a Christian community, like, that's kind of pretty intense?
Yeah, it was. Yeah. It was.
But you're all in the same mission. You're all, like, doing a 1 year or less internship. Yeah.
Yeah. But just through how, like, the directors loved me and how the other interns loved me during that time was just so sweet. I was also just, like, I think just being in a different country is hard on its own, too. Mm-hmm. And then to be encouraged to, like, have intentional conversations about the message made me realize that I really I needed God, and I couldn't just, like, rely on myself. Mm-hmm. And I needed God to, like, make me, help me with patience and loving my, like, brothers and sisters well. And yeah, so through that, I think the Lord, like, just really grew me a lot spiritually and all of the things. Yeah.
So as you go from there, then you come back to the States. Eventually, it sounds like you get connected to Campus Fellowship through some friends at work that you were telling me about before. So how does that mentality then, how is that transferred into your perspective, like now being a college student, now being on campus?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so since being connected, sorry, did you want me to say how I got connected with Campus Fellowship?
You can share a little bit about that, but okay. I'm wondering, you came out of the missional mentality, and now you're back in Des Moines, Iowa. Is like the sense of mission gone,
That's a good question. Coming back home was hard because I really had this tight-knit community, Christian community, and coming back home, it just, like, wasn't the same. Mm-hmm. And so I struggled to feel settled in again. Yeah. But yeah, through, like, friends at work and hearing about Campus Fellowship, and some of my coworkers also, like, I think had an internship overseas in Egypt or something like that. Yeah. And I just remember being so refreshed and so encouraged and excited that coming back home, there was a group of college students, even though at the time I was in college, that like had this conviction of just like have been saved and sanctified and being sanctified and wanting to share that with others. That was really encouraging to me. And so, the idea of mission didn't dissipate. I definitely, I think I was more encouraged, but it did look different for me because I just wasn't sure what that would have looked like at the time.
Yeah. Because I feel like oftentimes we think mission is for out there. Like mission is what you do in someplace else. But like we know our own communities, our own college campuses especially, they're a huge field of people who don't know Jesus. You know. So as you're kind of looking forward to the fall, what are things that you're excited for?
I am just so excited. I am excited just to go out on campus and get out of my comfort zone. And now excited kind of can change, that like definition can change depending on the day. You know what I mean? Just of like it is nerve-wracking, and I've learned about myself that I am a big people pleaser and I care about what people think about me. And just sharing the gospel throughout the summer, through CF Summer, has really helped me die to myself in that way and have this like conscious thought of like just thinking about how what Christ has done is stable, it's strong, and enough for me to bank my whole life on. And so if I'm like, so looking towards the college on the campus and sharing the gospel with classmates, or, in building, in the what do you call it? The community center.
Building 5.
Building 5, yeah. It's like,
It doesn't have a name. It's just called Building 5 for those who don't know DMACC. We know.
Yeah, exactly. If you know, you know. But yeah, just like, I'm excited to work the muscle and continue to like be reminded of the gospel of like what Christ has done is sufficient for me. And not only that, but there are people out there who he also wants to bring to knowledge of him and to like, eternal life with him. So
sweet. That's really cool. Last question. Are you going to fall conference?
I am. I'm planning on it. Yeah, I'm excited. I don't think I went last year.
Oh, you missed out.
Yeah, I'm excited.
This is your first year, which means it's half off for first timers.
Oh,
you get the 50% discount.
Hey, that's so exciting.
And if you're listening to the podcast and you're thinking about coming to fall conference, maybe a 50% discount would be enticing to you.
Yes, yeah. Fall conference.
But it'll be September 19th through the 21st. So mark your calendars. So thank you very much for joining us, and thank you guys for listening.